So in that case, I'm going to assume that most people here are already Enagic users, have owned the machine for at least more than 6 months or so. And so the pace that I'm going will be a little bit fast, and I won't dwell too much on the machine, just very briefly go through it because I have a lot of other slides that I want to share with you all and some information as well. Okay, now let me see. I will be the only one who is recording this because this will help me to just review myself in case I'm asked to come back and do another session to see which area I can improve. If nobody asks for me, then I know, okay, I really have to review myself. Okay, so I'm just going to start now by doing a share screen. Okay, welcome everyone today to today's a session organized by Enagic Singapore. I'm very thankful for the office to organize sessions like this. And I try to come on in on Saturdays, but of course, sometimes Saturdays, all our time are busy, except that, you know, because most of us cannot go out and we are more or less always at home. So it's good to be able to come to just join these sessions because I think they give give great value to all the distributors because it helps you to understand, especially later on, you will hear John sharing about the maintenance of the machine. Very important to maintain your machine well because, you know, we spend like quite a few thousand on it. So we need to make sure that it is a good, how should I say it, a good tool for us, you know, a good working horse for it. So for me, I'm trying to also share my experience on how I use all the water on a daily basis, and I will also do a little bit extra on something else as well. Okay, I'm going to start to share screen now. All right. I am assuming that everybody can see. Good, thanks, Joycelyn. Okay, so now I'm on full screen, so I won't be able to see anyone. It says here how I personally use Kangen Water in everyday life. So it's about me using the Kangen Water. So I need to have a disclaimer here that says that the views and opinions of the following PowerPoint slides are those of the personal experiences of the presenter. That means me, because I am the presenter.
Recording in progress.
Okay, I'm going to start the recording for myself. Yeah. So, and I am neither a scientist nor a doctor. Okay. So this today's session is actually for general informational purposes only and not meant to prescribe or to dispense any medical advice in any way. Okay, so it is only my personal experience, my personal encounter, because I have this machine for about nearly 10 years now. So it is basically about how I find this machine, this water, Kangen Water, has helped me in a lot of ways that I use for my lifestyle. So a lot of all these things are actually experiences of how I use the water, as well as stories that friends and associates have shared with me about how they use the water, as well as I've done my own research. So when I do my research, I usually, you know, go into Facebook. There will be some people, some leaders that we know of, can be from Singapore or can be from overseas, or even YouTube that you can find. If you type in how to use Kangen 11.5 water or how to use Kangen 2.5 water, you'll be able to find some YouTube available to actually help you to understand how they use it. Okay. So last time when we first started this, when we first owned this machine, we really didn't know how to use. So a lot of it is actually trial and error. So, Okay. So I'm just going to very quickly go through the machine. This is our Enagic Level Up K8 water ionizer. One machine, 7 types of water. So you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 types of waters here. So at the top here is 11.5 pH water. I'm going by the biggest numbers to the smallest number. So 11.5 pH water is actually strong Kangen water. And what is it used for? It is very good for emulsifying oil and more. Yeah. The drinking water is from 8.5, 9, and 9.5. And that is really meant for your healthy cooking, your drinking, your food preparation, and your cooking. So that's what I mainly use it for. Then, of course, you have clean water at pH 7.0. This is neutral water, so used very much for baby and for medication. Then you have beauty water 6.0, very useful for skin, for hair, personal hygiene, even for plants. And then we also have strong acidic water 2.5 pH, which in this current situation that we are in right now, especially with COVID and the viruses that is in the air, it's very useful to disinfect, to sanitize, because it has antiviral and antibacterial properties. Okay, so as I mentioned before, this one is really from my personal experience through trial and error of using Kangen water. So I'm going to share with you the water which we really basically use for. So very simple, just understand some simple principle that I use. Okay, you can follow me, or you can also, if you are a new user, take out the instruction manual and read what they have down there. And because I have been using this water for 10 years now, I sometimes do not follow what is recommended down there, because it's from my own trial and error. And I find that this is how I use it. This is how it works for me. Now, it may not work for you. I'm not sure, but I'm just sharing with you how I use it. So for personal hygiene, we use pH 6.0 water. And that's the water that we call beauty water. So beauty water is very good for skincare, for your hair care. Yeah. So use this one basically for that external use, okay? And if you are talking about cleaning stains, so if you got stains on your clothes, stains maybe on your wall, or stains on some of the other things. Now, for me, the principle I always use is that if it is oil-based, if your stain is oil-based, you use pH 11.5. For instance, oil-based means, you know, in cooking, sometimes you have like your curries that with a lot of chili oil, or you know, some of maybe when you prepare your I saw just now on the attendance list, mainly Chinese so if you happen to be like using you're cooking, you know, your meat stuff and all that, and sometimes it also gives off a lot of fats, a lot of oil, then use 11.5 because that's excellent, since it can emulsify oil, which means that it breaks down the oil stain and is very easy to clean. Okay, so for cleaning stains, if it's oil-based, use 11.5. Now, if it's protein-based, use pH 2.5. So you're going to ask me, Sinjo, what do you mean by protein-based? Okay, so protein-based, usually I will put it down to like, you know, your meats are protein, right? Your what do you call that? Eggs are protein, right? Your blood and all this, they are protein. Okay. Even like your soy sauce is also protein based. Okay, because it's made from beans and all that. So if you have those kind of stains on your clothing and all that, use pH 2.5. Now, how did I learn about this? It's because when I first started, I remember I attended a talk by Cynthia Briganti. Now, I don't know whether you know Cynthia Briganti. Recently, she was really in the news, very hot news, because she was the first -7 in the world. So she's really very high ranking, and we're all under her lineage. So I remember she was once telling me that you know how she opened up conversation with people is sometimes in a restaurant and she's eating down there, and sometimes she says she purposely wear all white. And then she will purposely spill some soy sauce on her white clothes. You know, soy sauce on white clothes is very outstanding, right? So they all look at her in shock. Then she said, don't worry. I have this excellent stain remover. And she will whip out her 2.5 and she start to spray on it and it will clean off very well. Now, of course, this one, it must be fresh stains, yeah? Then it will work very well. Okay, so protein base, you use 2.5. For instance, you know, sometimes blood and all this you use. So like for ladies, every month, sometimes we have our, just have to use the word, our menses. Then sometimes in order to clean off some of these stains, use the 2.5. Very useful, okay? But it must be fresh stains. If it's already like stained there for days, then don't think it's going to work very well. Okay, then we come to pH 2.5 for ingesting. What do I mean by ingesting? Ingesting actually means anything you put in your mouth. So for me, anything that I put in my mouth, I will use 9.5. Okay, so that means in my food preparation, all the food that I use, all the vegetables, all the meat stuff and all that, if I'm using that for food preparation, I will always use 9.5 because I'm going to eat this. It's going to be in my stomach, right? Because we always advise that pH 6.0, 11.5, 2.5 is not for ingesting. So anything that you use for your food, use 9.5. So that is my principle. Okay. So if you will find sometimes you see that there is one recommendation, I think in the maintenance book that says for best cooking of pasta, use beauty water. I don't know whether you all read about that. But for me, I'm thinking this is going to be in my mouth, right? I think I better use 9.5. So that's how I will use my water, the kind of water that I from the machine to my best advantage. So of course, for medication, we always use pH 7.0 as well as for baby's milk and all that because their body is actually quite clean. They are neither they're more alkaline. So they for milk formula and all that use 7.0. Okay, so I'm now going to share about my routine every day, how I use it. So in the morning when we start, right, we wake up. The first thing I do is that I will collect beauty water. So I will go to the machine and I usually will have a 2-liter bottle. Okay, and I fill it to full. So that's how I collect my beauty water. And why do I collect beauty water? Afterwards, if you listen to what Jonathan is sharing, this is actually part of manual maintenance. Okay, so I will leave it to him to explain why the need to collect beauty water. But you all just stay with me right now here to remember what I'm saying. I collect beauty water the first thing I wake up. When I go to my machine, I don't drink from the machine first. I collect beauty water. And then this 2-liter bottle of beauty water, I will use it for my after shower rinse, which means that I go for my shower later, right? Bathe ready, and then I will pour this beauty water over myself. Because we say beauty water is good for skin, right? Since it's the same pH as skin. So it's very useful for that. Now, why did I show this picture here on the PowerPoint? Can you notice that there are actually 2 skin tone color here? Can you see that this part, this part is darker? Oops, sorry. Okay, this part is darker and this part is lighter, right? Okay, I'm just going to stop share here now so that you all can see me. Okay, the reason why there is these 2 different skin tone is because this photo shows this lady who is actually one of my associates helper. So I say, hey, beauty water, when I tell them how to use beauty water, I say beauty water very good to use. it's very good for skin and all that. And it has a whitening effect, it actually moisturize your skin and all that. So what she does, this is according to what my friend tells me, is she takes the water, the beauty water, and she washes her face like that. So that means only this part has the whitening effect. This part here still is darker because her original skin tone is dark. So I was so intrigued by it because it means that our water really has a whitening effect on the face. When she washes daily, she washes her face like that. So I find that is very interesting. Okay, let me go back to my share screen now. Okay, so that's the reason why there was, so I said, oh, I must take this photo and then, show it to people. After I do that for my beauty water, then I would drink fresh Kangen water from the machine. Okay, you must realize that when you sleep at night and you wake up in the morning, you are basically having, some people have like 6 to 8 hours of sleep. So your water, your body doesn't have water, for 6 to 8 hours. So you must drink fresh Kangen water because you have been dehydrated for the 6 to 8 hours. Fresh, and I emphasize fresh Kangen water from the machine. Okay, I don't get the water first. I do the maintenance first to make sure, because sometimes I feel that there will be some remnant water in the tank area. So I don't want those water. So when I collect beauty water, all this water will come out. So that means when I drink Kangen water, collect the Kangen water from the machine, is really fresh. Okay, and for some people, they say, oh, I don't like to drink like cold water. Then, okay, then you boil some Kangen water, you just add a little bit of this hot water to your Kangen water, and then you make it lukewarm. Then you can drink it from there. And I will also take my Ukon at the same time. So the normal beauty routine, see, I drink my water even before I do all this. I will, of course, you clean up, right? You wash your face. Then I will always spray beauty water on my face after cleansing, before moisturizing. This is to prepare your skin, so that your skin is able to absorb and able to get all the goodness of all the moisturizer on your skin. For men, I heard from my friend's husband, says that he loved the beauty water, especially after shaving. The beauty water is so good for the skin. Okay, so the reason is because beauty water pH is the same, pH 6.0 is the same pH for skin. Okay, so after that, I will, of course, there are other things that we do, but then I'm going to come onto the cooking part, which is the food preparation. So, we're thinking about, all love to eat, right? So we are going to start to think about what to cook for the day, especially for lunch. So you can see how good our water. Remember just now I say anything that puts into the mouth, I will use 9.5. Okay, then we also know that 11.5, because it has this emulsifying effect, is very good for removing, the pesticide and all that. Now, if you are hurried for time, then use 11.5. But if I'm not hurried for time, then I actually just use the 9.5. I do a slow flow, and then I will just soak my vegetable for about half an hour. Okay. If you are in a hurry, then 11.5, 5 minutes enough. Okay, so you can see this vegetable here, I left in the fridge for a while, and it has actually dried up and withered a bit. But the moment I soak in 9.5, you can see how it has rejuvenated itself. It has refreshed, and you see it becomes, so fresh again. So the next question is, people will start to ask, soak for so long, are you sure or not? Okay, so I found this one, and later it was also this, I think it's legit. He also does some of this test before. So you can see, he put the probe, this is the ORP probe, right? So he put the ORP probe into the grapefruit, and then it's actually positive. Positive means oxidizing, right? And actually grapefruit is supposed to be good for high in vitamin C and all that. Okay. Then what he does is that he soaks. Okay. So he soaks the grapefruit in 11.5 for 2 hours. And then he measured again, and it went to negative. Okay, you can see that it went to negative already, negative 316. Okay, because this one, this minus 618 is actually measuring the ORP of the 11.5. But when you, after you soak, so actually some people say you soak so long, you lose all your vitamin C. So this very simple test simply means that you don't lose the vitamin C. Your antioxidant is higher after you soak. So actually your vegetables, it's so much better. Okay, I'm also showing this because this is now some of the photos I show are my own personal collection. Some of them are actually what I get from the Facebook. Now this is my own photo collection. So these are grapes. I used to like this grape, very sweet. So you can see they have all these white spots, right? So before Kangen water is like that. After Kangen water, you can see that it removed all this. Okay, now I'm going to show you something else that is really amazing for me. Can you see this? I bought this so-called organic apple, and I soak it in strong Kangen water. Can you see what is coming up? I really don't know what is coming up. Looks like wax instead. So for people who say, oh, you just take the apple and then you just munch and crunch it, I don't know what else you're eating on the skin, but for me, I make sure I clean my fruits and vegetables best. Okay, then this other part also show that when you soak sausages in strong Kangen pH 11.5, you see all these are the fats that get drawn out from all this. Well, of course, these days you also know that some of the Chinese sausages, they don't put in so much fats, but these are the traditional ones. Yeah, so a lot of fats that you can actually draw out using pH 11.5. Now this is beef soaked in strong Kangen water, but can you see the color? Okay, it's reddish and all that, right? So they are actually drawing the blood from the beef. Okay, what it does is that it actually removes that smell. Some people, they don't like that beefy smell, right? So this helps to remove that, and in the process, tenderize it. Again, these are photos that I download from Facebook. So it tenderizes it. Yeah. And then you can also soak your nuts and your dried cranberries as well. This is from Connie Chew. Connie Chew is actually one of the Malaysian distributor. She actually is a foodie, so she does a lot of, so these days maybe not so much, but previously she always shares about how she cook using Kangen water. Okay, she used both 11.5 and 9.5 and 2.5, to clean away some of the bacteria that is from, like for example, for seafood, then you want to use 2.5 first, and then you rinse off with the 9.5, and then if need to, then you soak. So you can see actually nuts and all these things actually is not clean. So they always have a layer of scum and all that. You also remove like harmful chemicals, pesticide that is sprayed over it, and wax or things like that. Now, of course, you have to dry it. I think you can actually oven dry it for a while. If not, then you just put it in the sun to dry. In Singapore, got very good sun. Okay, I have done this using, I've soaked, but I didn't take photograph. I've soaked nuts like almond. I've soaked almond nuts before overnight using 11.5 because I wanted to make almond milk. So I've soaked that before. And I've also soaked cashew nuts overnight with strong Kangen water 11.5. You can really see the scum that comes out there. And what did I use? The milk from, so you can actually blend it in a blender. That's how you get the milk, right? For the almond milk, there will be a remnants of the, what do you call that? The pulp. But for, sorry, for cashew nuts, I find that when we soak, actually when you blend it, it actually completely pulverized. So I use that in place of coconut milk. And I did that before for my curries. Yeah. So you can actually experiment whatever you want, you know, because this is just water. It's nothing much. Okay. And then this one, okay, I'm showing you this one is because this one is cooking using a Kangen Water 9.5. There are two pictures down here. And this was an experiment I did with one of my friends. Both of them is actually from the, you know, we bought the chicken. So this is actually Emperor herbal chicken, you know, cooked with tap water and Kangen water. I'm sure by looking at these two pictures, you know which is tap water, which is Kangen water. Okay, obviously this is tap water. This is Kangen water. Because our water has so small, it's very small water, right? The water molecule is so small. It will penetrate through all your seasoning, all your sauce. You know, so you can it naturally like emulsify some of this thing, so you get very clear. Whereas you can see this, it is still like, how do you call it? Very murky or that kind of color where the seasoning is not really broken down. So this one, you can see that the seasoning is broken down. So that means that actually your food will be more flavorful. Yeah. So that's why anything for me, I always use 9.5 for my cooking. Okay. Now this is actually from our newsletter. I hope you all know that Enagic has a monthly newsletter. And this was an issue that was quite some time ago. In the past, they used to share recipes in the newsletter. Yeah. These days, when I check the newsletter, they don't do the recipe sharing anymore. But if you look at the latest copy of our Enagic, it's called Global eFriends. There is a page down there that talks about 11.5, how they use the 11.5 for cleaning and for food preparation. Yeah, so for us, I feel that if we buy the machine, then we want to really use it really well, right? So for me, the machine is actually a workhorse for me. So I will max out, you know, whatever that I can get out of the machine, I will get out of the machine. So I will do my due diligence. Well, I will go and do my own research. I will go and do trial and error, yeah, to go and see what I can use the water for. Okay, so after the cooking, after eating my lunch and all that, then in the afternoon, normally I will do some housework. So I put down here, I titled Housework and General Cleaning. So for mopping floor, you know, there's always this discharge water from the secondary hose, right? The secondary hose is usually the gray color hose. If you bought the SD501, but if you buy the K8, it could be, you know, the short hose that is at the bottom of the machine, or, you know, sometimes you can also do the longer hose as well. Now, there will always be water that is being discharged from there, because, you know, the way our machine works, right, it splits the water. So this discharge water, a lot of people say, so how, so much water collected, so sayang, so wasteful. I say, no, this water is so good for using for mopping floor. You know, we mop our floor every day, right? And when you mop your floor, you just use this water. You don't even have to buy any floor detergent or anything to clean the floor. This water cleans the floor so well. You know, if you have like young children, or if you have pets, and you use, you know, some people, they mop, right? Then they like to put some detergent. They say, wow, smells so good, don't know, Dettol or whatever. So you're not supposed to mention brand names. But anyway, you know, sometimes you pour in a little bit of all this into the pail, right? Then you mop the floor. Do you know, actually, there's always a residue of whatever chemicals that you're using. And then children and pets, their paws for pets and for children, they crawl on the floor, right? And then their hands are on the floor, and then they pick up some of this residue, and then they do pick up the food, or they put their hands into the mouth. I mean, just picture that for yourself now. What do you think are they putting into the mouth? So for us, the water, the discharge water, is the best way to clean, you know, your floor and you mop your floor and all that. The other thing that I used to use the discharge water is to clean soap scum from my shower cubicle. Okay, this is the two doors of my shower cubicle. So you can see, this side here is cleaner. This side here got all the soap scum, right? Because sometimes when you shower and then, you know, all your scum will spray all over the place lah. So it will collect, and sometimes at the bottom down here. Now, do you know that our discharge water is so good for cleaning? You can see for yourself here. Okay, and then for glass, it's very good for glass. So I also don't buy glass cleaner. My house that I used to stay in got lots of windows everywhere because I always like a house that is bright. So you can see all this glass. So what I do is that I just put it into a sprayer bottle and I spray and I clean. I just use newspaper to clean. Do you know every time when you use your glass cleaner to clean, usually your windows are high, right? Then you spray. You know you're actually breathing in some of these things as well. For the kids, it's on their hands, but for people like us, it could be, you know, through our nose. Yeah, actually breathing some of these things in. And I find also that this water is excellent for washing our innerwears. Yeah, for ladies. One of my friends was also telling me that she used it for washing her daughters. Last time when her daughters were young, they used to go for ballet. And I tell you there is a smell for all this leggings and stockings and all that. So she told me, she said, "Hey Joe, it's very good, no? I use this water to soak it for a while. And it removes some of the bad smell. It's very easy to wash after that." Okay, now if you have like some of these kitchen appliances, this is a burnt pot. You know, sometimes we all cook and then we all forget to stir, and then sometimes the phone call come out, we all get distracted playing games on our phone. You forget the food is still cooking on the stove. Of course, if your food has a lot of oil and meat and all these things, then you will burn. Yeah, but did you know it can be removed with our 11.5 Kangen water? You just have to soak it, because a lot of all this is due to oil, the grime. So remember, any stains that is oil based, 11.5 is excellent. Okay, all these photos I've downloaded from Facebook, but I have personally tried it because I have also burned my pot before, and my pot was not like that one. My pot burned, the crust, you can actually see the crust. So I soak it overnight and I could very easily remove the crust. And after, it's very easy to clean. Okay, this one is a fruit juicer bowl, the stain from the fruit juicer. Okay, they say that it cannot be removed with soap or Jif stain remover. But after soaking the bowl in 11.5 for one day, it looks as good as new. You know why? Because a lot of all this, if it's like for juicer, a lot of all this is acidic stain. Yeah, acidic stain. And then if you use 11.5, which is highly alkalized with you, then very easy, all these things will come off. So again, it's about you understanding what the water is and the principle behind it. Then you will find that, oh, okay, you do your trial and error, you will be able to enjoy a lot of all these things. Okay, this one is also a download from Facebook. This one, this lady say, my son tried to clean the Milo sour smell in his water bottle. You know the water bottle, the hot water bottle, right? This is the cap. And sometimes it's so hard to wash, right? And because the Milo, they say the sour smell, swan in the water bottle cannot remove, because you know it gets into the plastic and all that. So they use strong acid 2.5, which can kill most, if not all, bacteria. And they just clean by soaking all this in the pH 2.5. Okay, another principle that I use that I'm going to share with you now is, you know, the Chinese always have one saying that says, 以毒攻毒. So usually if all this bad smell is usually come from the decay of bacteria. Okay, so you think about fish, you think about, you know, some of the meat that's been left there for some time. All this will have bacterial growth. So bacterial growth means that there will be bad smell. So use the strong acid, because this one can kill bacteria. So that's why the smell will be gone. And you will also notice that if you smell the 2.5 pH, it also have a very strong smell, right? That's why I say you do go to. So you know that this water that has a strong smell can remove anything that has strong smell. All right, then this one was also very interesting from, I also download from Facebook. See, it says washing with Kangen water. No soap, just Kangen water. And your shoes can be as good and so clean up. Okay, this one was on the wheel hub of one of the car that I was driving. This actually belongs to my friend. The car belongs to my friend. So you know all this dirt and grime, especially if you're on the road, right? Because the road, there will be rain, some oil splatter on the road and all that. So you'll collect a lot of all this. So what I did was that I put the 11.5 in a bottle, and then I spray. And I just use, at that time, you know what I use? I just use those kitchen rolls. I didn't even use a cloth. I was so lazy. I just use the kitchen roll, and I just pull a few pieces of it and I just wipe it. So you can see from here, I purposely leave still some stain down here, right? So this part is clean, this part is clean, and this part, most of them is clean, but this part I left for you all to see. And this part here, I left for you all to see. So again, all this dirt and grime is what? Oil-based. So anything that is oil-based, use 11.5. Okay? So after doing all the housework and all that, then, you know, finish cooking. The cooking part, I don't need to show it to you all again because it's basically what I shared earlier. So then we have after dinner cleaning up, right? Okay, the way I wash my dishes, you don't have to follow me, but I find that this works well for me, is because the dishes, in Chinese cooking, we always got a lot of oil. Yeah. So what I do is that I actually use the 9.5 to rinse off once. Just rinse off one. Then you can see a lot of all these food stains all come out already. Then you can wash it with your discharge water. Very clean. You know, so cutting board and all this is an area where bacteria will grow. Because sometimes you cut your meat, sometimes you cut your fish, and I don't know what else we cut, all the other food that we have that we cut. On the cutting board, please disinfect with 2.5. Kill all the bacteria there. Okay. Sink area, I will also disinfect with 2.5. Now just be careful if yours is stainless steel. After you disinfect with the 2.5, then use the secondary hose water, the discharge water, just rinse it once through. Okay, now cleaning sponge. Wow, I don't know how many of us are really, but this is really a hotbed for bacteria. Okay, disinfect with 2.5. Then your cleaning sponge will be very clean, because can you imagine you don't clean your cleaning sponge, you use it to wash whatever thing, and then you don't clean it well, all the bacteria, the food, and all those things that's stuck on there, and then you wash it again, then you go wash your cups, and then you go drink from the cup. So disinfect with the 2.5, yeah? Okay, I'm going to show you how good is our 11.5. You know, Chinese style of cooking, we always got a big wok, right? Then we always like to wok hay and all that, right? So you always use a lot of oil and all those things. So sometimes, you know, when you do too much of all this cooking, then some of the oil will drip down the side of the wok, and then it will drip onto your stove. So you can see all this oil stain that is on my stove. I have never bought any more jute after I have my machine. So you can see 11.5. All I did was I spray the 11.5 on here. Oops. Sorry. So you can see the water actually starts to dissolve some of this oil stain. So it starts to flow. Yeah. More and more it starts to dissolve. Then I use a cloth and I wipe it off. Very easy, very clean. You know, last time when I had my stove top, and then there was one time I remember I had to ask the technician to come and have a look at it, and he said, "Wow, 你的灶很干净哦." That means he said my stove top is very clean. I guess he must have gone to other people's one, and there are stains all over the place. Now I'm very particular about this. That's why I always try to keep it clean. So 11.5. Why? Because it's oil based. Okay. Okay, so after cleaning up and all that, then now it's time for bedtime. Okay, So before bedtime, I would like sometimes just to pamper myself. I give my feet a good soak. And so it's just to relax our body. It's just to soften the skin on our legs. And we all know that there are pressure points and acupressure points on the foot of your. That's why you go for foot massage and all that, right? So it's very good to relax. Okay. So sometimes I just use I will just put some essential oil. Sometimes, last time what my mom did was also you can crush ginger and you just throw it inside there. Very good for blood circulation. Especially some people, they have very cold feet. So that helps a lot. Okay. So in this one, I tried all sorts. I have tried 11.5, and it is so 11.5. I tell you, your feet will be so clean. All the dirt that's in between your toes, under your nails, everything will come off. Very clean, the 11.5. Then of course 9.5 sometimes. I don't use 2.5. I use the beauty water or the discharge water. Okay, that gives it a little bit of disinfect as well. Okay, so so this is to pamper yourself. So any kind of water you can try. Any kind of water you can try. Now for facial cleansing, we all use all this, right? All this kind of what I do is that I will mist my face or I just spray. I usually put a 11.5 in the spray bottle and I spray on my face first before I do my makeup remover. Before I use some of this. I mean, sometimes I still use some of this, but this helps to remove or to make it easier to clean your face. So you don't have to use a lot of all this facial cleanser. All this facial cleanser, they're all chemicals, right? So we also don't want to use too much of our face. So I will always spray with 11.5 first so that it is easier to remove all the makeup, and I use very little of all this. Okay. Now dental care, I also use 11.5. Why? Because there was one time when I went to see a dentist, and apparently she also has a machine. So she told me 11.5 is very good for cleaning up our gums. So I sometimes do that before I sleep. Okay, some people, they will use 2.5, but I find 2.5 sometimes can be very acidic. And our teeth is enamel. Yeah. So it could be a little bit too acidic for that. So unless you use your 2.5, if you have bleeding gums and all that, then you can rinse with 11.5, and then you use, you can neutralize it with 9.5. But if 11.5 is very good, it's very clean. Okay, so this is the nighttime routine. Okay, so this one is also download from our Facebook. So you can see people got warts, right? Warts here, all this. Is soaked in strong Kangen water to soften the skin, followed by strong acid water to kill the bacteria. And that's how all the warts are removed. So it's 3 months, August 2012 here, November 2012. So soaking your feet with our water is very good. For our, in the morning, remember I said I always collect the beauty water, right? Then after my shower, I will use this water, this beauty water, to do a final rinse. So it's really, the water can use on top to your toes, the top of your head to the toes. Okay, one thing I need to mention is the beauty water. Sometimes if the weather is cold, be mindful that the water will be cold. But for me, I'm not afraid of cold water. It's colder than your tap water. If you collect and then you put it for a while, it means you don't immediately shower. You'll find that the water, because our water molecules are small, and so it will get cold quite fast. Okay, so that is all the things that I'm talking about, feet and all that. Okay, so now I'm just going to provide some additional information. So earlier part is how I use Kangen water throughout the day. Okay, so now I'm just giving you additional information which is also how I use the water. Maybe not on a daily basis, but you know, this will come in useful. Especially right now, I just want to share about the uses of our strong acid water pH 2.5. Very good for wound healing and other external applications. Okay, just look at this one, which is also from a Facebook page that I downloaded. Now, this lady is Cynthia Berganti. Remember, I was telling you earlier. It says here that this guy actually has some had burns on his body. Okay. Yeah, I cannot really see the date down here because it's blocked by something. Anyway, it's 2.05. I think it's only a very short while. So this is shared by Cynthia. So she said that Cynthia told Rosemary to give Fidel, which is this guy, pH 2.5 to spray on his burned skin and pH 9.5 for drinking. The Fidel start to spray the water on his face for 4 days. Okay, that means this is February 18th, this is February 22nd, then February 26th. On his 8th day, he looks like he just come up from a plastic surgery. So this is when he got burned. This is 4 days after he sprayed with 2.5. This is 8 days after his burn that you can see he has recovered very, very well. But of course, he starts to drink Kangen Water 9.5 as well. So I think the reason why it can heal so well is because, you know, sometimes when you have burnt skin like that, the thing that you're very afraid of is infection. So when you spray 2.5, it will stop it will stop any infection, because before any germs can or any bacteria can you know take root, you already killed off it. So that's why his skin recovered so well. Now, interestingly, I also met someone in the office once many years ago, and he also had burn on his skin. But he told me he used 9.5 and 11.5 on his skin. So you see, some of these things is really trial and error. This one works for him, but the other guy says that, and his skin's also, I saw his skin, beautiful, you know, recovered very well. 9.5, 11.5 sometimes can be interchangeable because why? It's only water. It's only water. Okay, let me give you an example of why I said that. Okay, I'm going to have to go very fast with it, otherwise you all won't have time for Q&A. I also gave, in fact, I actually loaned a machine to one of my friends, and at that time her father was staying in a nursing home. So because he was staying in a nursing home and he wasn't feeling well, so you know, he has bed sores, you know, always on his back, right? His backside, you know, that always have bed sore. So I was telling my friend, I said, hey, you go and collect 2.5 from the machine, and then you use it to clean your back. You will recover very fast. Because this one I also learned from you know, some of those Japanese hospital, how they use our Kangen water, right? And whether it's 11.5 or is it 2.5. So I told my friend to do that. Then after some time, she told me, yeah, Joe, it works. So one day I went to her house, then checked on the machine and all that. Then after that, I discovered that she didn't collect 2.5 to clean the father. She collected 11.5 to clean the father. But it works. It works. So he didn't get bed sores. So 11.5 is also very high, and 11.5 is has a lot of minerals, so it also helps in the skin as well. So really, you know, it's about experimenting, and like I said, it's water, so it won't do any harm to us. Okay, so this one is another photo that I download from Facebook. You can see down here it says that this is actually a diabetic patient. Before he drank Kangen water, his diabetic reading is 27. Can you imagine how high that is? Then he drank our Kangen water for 2 months, and he also used 2.5 to spray on his wound. Okay, and after 2 months, the reading that was 27 came down to 5.3, which is more than normal. And you can see his wound here has recovered His wound here has become. So that is really the power of our water. I'm going to show you something else and that is so interesting. Okay, why did I show the picture of this fish? Now this fish is actually belongs to my friend. I used to, when they bought the machine, I used to visit them and then show them and then just talk to him. Then he told me this fish was actually bitten by another big fish in his fish tank. He got this fish and this fish is in his fish tank. But there was a real big fish in his fish tank and it bit this poor fella. You can see the marks now here. And at the time when I went to see him, this fella, this poor fish, was actually belly up already. That means it was actually floating on top of the water, floating belly up. That means, about to die already. So his friends came and said, your fish is not going to survive. What he did was, I said, hey, why don't we try 2.5? So we took the 2.5, he scooped the fish up, put on his hand. I actually saw him doing it. Unfortunately, I didn't take that photo when the fish was dying, and he sprayed on the wound, and he just put the fish back into the water. And do you know what? A few days later, the fish survived. The wound healed for this fish. This is another fish also bitten by that big fish. You can see the bite marks down here. So we also try to do the same thing, but because this fish is so much bigger than this one actually fits into the palm. But this is a huge fish also, a big fish. So we cannot scoop it up. And when we try to catch it, it was like swimming all over the place. So what my friend did was that as it swam near to the top of the water, he just sprayed the 2.5 onto the wound here. And you can see it has recovered. So it's the power of a strong acid water, 2.5, even for fishes. So can you imagine that one was the earlier picture was this guy with the diabetic wound. It's fish there. So if you can work on fish, you can work on your pets, you can work on your children, you can work on the elderly. This strong acid water is really, really amazing. Okay. Now, so for personal hygiene, you can buy this bottle from the office. You can fill it with 2.5. The reason why I always prefer a black bottle, fill it with my 2.5, is that 2.5 is actually very sensitive to heat movement and light. So I always prefer to put it in a black bottle, and especially now with COVID in the air, this is really very useful. So I put this, it's not very big, so you can actually put it in your handbag, you can bring it along. So I use it as personal spray bottle, and when I go to toilet, I spray lor. When I'm in public area, I spray lor. When I'm in food courts, I spray lor. I spray onto the cutlery, I spray on the table, sometimes on the chairs as well. And after eating, I even spray into my mouth. Because sometimes if you're in food courts or you're in some of this area, after eating, you have to put on your mask back, right? Can you imagine the smell in your mouth? So I prefer to kill that smell in my mouth by spraying this and then putting on my face mask. Yeah. So you can use this as a mouth rinse for a mouth ulcer. You can spray into the nose for post prevention. Now this one is interesting because this came from one of my my friend. She bought a machine as well, and now she's a retired doctor. She's a retired GP, and she says that her grandnieces, all very young children, they always go to like play school and all that. So always, will have very common flu, coughs, and all this, right? I mean, that was before COVID. And then she always try not to prescribe antibiotics for them because very young children. So she actually took the 2.5, she sprayed into their nose, sprayed up into their nose. And no need to give them antibiotics. Because a lot of them actually the flu actually starts in the nose. So even for our, what is going on right now, right? All this bacteria, virus that is floating in air, you can actually spray into your nose. It will help. Okay, UTI for lady, I think you all will know. I think guys may get it as well. Is urinary tract infection. Now this is quite common with ladies because sometimes when we are outside, we don't visit the toilet often enough. And so this is actually a yeast infection. Okay, I find that spraying 2.5, after you go to the toilet, after you have passed water, is very good for healing. Cannot use the word healing, sorry, for actually removing any possible remnant bacteria in that area. You will find that it will help you very much. Okay. Okay. So coming back to what I said from the very beginning. So what I've shared earlier are actually from my personal experience through trial and error of using Kangen water for the last 10 years. And that's why I come up with all these principles of how I use my water. Personal hygiene, always 6.5, beauty water. Yeah, all these are external usage. For cleaning stain, if it's oil-based, use 7.5. If it's perfume-based, use 2.5. Anything I put into my mouth, I use 9.5. Okay, for medication and baby formula, always use this. Okay, so that's okay. Ooh, I don't have much time really. So okay, so I'm going to ask whether if you have any question, please type in in the chat, or I'm going to close this stop share soon, and then we can have a very short discussion because I want to finish. It's only a few minutes only now. If you don't have any question, I will pass it back to Jonathan. But if you have any question, then I'll try to answer as much as I can. But my disclaimer is there's no guarantee I'll be able to answer your question to your satisfaction, as I'm neither a scientist or a doctor. Okay, so that's my presentation. I'm just going to stop sharing.